Welcome to Unfiltered Fire, the Friday segment of Unlearn the Crap and Level Up podcast. I'm Kathy Baldwin, and this is where I get raw, real, and radically honest. No filters, no edits, just the truth behind what's keeping you stuck and what it really takes to break free. Now let's light it up. Welcome to Unlearn the Crap and Level Up. Your soul is calling. I'm your host, Kathy Baldwin. Today is a special episode of Unfiltered Fire Friday. Today I want to talk about what is happening in the geopolitical landscape, but especially here in my home country, Canada. I thought originally that I was going to come here and talk about the election process, about what it is like to be a Canadian who just went through our major election. I thought I might talk about the effects that the election is having through the lens of working with the United States, President Trump, as well as the rest of the world. But this isn't about politics. It's actually about patterns. And so I'm going to refuse to keep pretending that silence is strength and suppression is peace. Today I want to speak fire, not to burn bridges, but to burn through the illusions. I believe in being a part of the solution. So when I felt strongly about what is happening in our politics, you know that I believe that we are in a massive paradigm shift. Our foundations are crumbling. They were built on unsustainable foundations of a patriarchy that is starting to no longer serve the whole. We have come to a crux where the 1% holds the power and the control and the money, and the 99% of us are feeding that system. We are seeing a rise in our AI, our technology. We're having an increase in robotics and automation. Our world is moving faster. Our knowledge is increasing exponentially. Our education is not keeping up with the current information that we have. Our education system was designed to feed our workforce. Our workforce is in flux and we can't keep up with the changing demands. Every other system we have, our government, our financial, our medical, our social, our family, everything is in change and in flux. And change has a guttural reaction in so many people as individuals, but it's having a guttural effect on our society as well. If we think about the collective central nervous system, equivalent to the individual's central nervous system, when our nervous system gets triggered that we are in fear, fear has a tendency to react in our primal instincts, tell us we're in danger, tell us to hide, to contract, to protect ourselves, to fight, to flee, to do anything other than think rationally. Because when our central nervous system is enacted, we are in pure survival mode. We cannot think clearly. That part of our brain has been shut down. Because we're in such rapid transition and everything is changing, nobody knows what is normal or safe anymore. And so while this changing of guard is so important to break down the things that don't serve the majority, And we are in a transition where we are finding that the power is coming to the individual. Us as individuals have not been prepared to take on that responsibility. We weren't trained for it. We don't know how to access our inner guidance system. We don't know how to connect to all of our resources. That is exactly what Unlearn the Crap is about. It's about learning where our power resides and how to access it. How to find who we are and bring our individual zone of genius to the world, because each and every one of us is a part of the tapestry of our universe. But what is happening in politics, what is happening in every aspect of our lives, is it's triggering us. It is triggering us into feeling that we must fight or be afraid. People are looking to go back to the good old days, but they don't exist, and they never will again the same way they were. We must create a new normal. We must find who we are and step into that. So I believe that we need to be a part of the change we want to see. I talk about this all the time in my books and my podcasts and my speaking engagements. This is integral to who I am and what my purpose is. So what am I going to do when the election comes? I'm going to volunteer as much as I possibly can for the candidate in the party that I believe in. Now, here in Canada, I've been watching how divided the United States is, how human rights are being stripped, how the law of the Constitution is being trampled over, how the structures that were designed in protection of individuals, of the collective, of humanity, is all being ripped apart. It is trying to put us back into submission, back under control, where we have nothing and we are afraid. Because when we are afraid, we are controllable, we are manipulatable. And so I chose to realign my affiliation politically. I used to be a progressive conservative. To me, that was a balance of the middle. It was about personal responsibility and limited government interference. It was empowerment over control. It was about bringing the best out of each other, bringing our ability to be self-sufficient and self-reliant. That's the things that I believed in that made me align with the old party called the Progressive Conservatives. But the new conservatives that are in power here in Canada, in the United States, as well as around the world, are not about progressive. It is not about moving forward. It is not about personal empowerment. And so when I had to take a look and figure out if the party that I thought aligned with me is no longer aligned, who is? Who reflects my current thoughts, feelings, beliefs, values? And I found it in Mark Carney. I found it in the Liberal Party. I've never in my life identified as a political liberal, but I really believe in what Mark Carney is doing. I believe in someone who comes in and fixes problems with creative solutions that work for all. I believe in the economist, not the politician. I believe in the person who has given of service, his expertise, his knowledge to expand everything he comes in contact with rather than constrict it. The things that I see happening within the MAGA movement are fear, control. It is about power. It's about beating people down. It's about submission. It is scaring the living hell out of me. And so while I was working the election and helping to promote my candidate, I would go out canvassing, and I was met with anger and vile name calling. I was met with fear. I was met with misunderstandings. I was met with uneducated decisions of thinking things are the way they thought they were without actually doing any education and investigation to come up with a critical, thought out, well-informed decision. We cannot be complacent, but I'm digressing. I'm getting a little passionate, but that's what Unfiltered Fire is all about. It's about me not worrying about how I say what. It's about me sharing the things that really matter to me and how we can make a difference. So I show up as a scrutineer on the day of the election. I show up and I go to my polling station. So excited to be a part of the process. I'm asking questions. How does this work? How does that work? I want to know how safe and secure the election process is. I see the procedures. I see the documentation. I see everybody following things perfectly, because not only was I a scrutineer, but I was a witness to 2 polling stations counting. I saw how integrity was driving the whole process, and I was honored. But there were 2 older women at my polling station who were representing the Conservatives. And when I say older, I mean the previous generation. They were minimum 20 years older than I am. And when I first saw them, I thought, kindly, nice, beautiful women. But what energy they gave me was pushy and controlling and secretive and angry. At one point, I had gathered up the counts so that I could share them with my political party back at the office. And they came around and I said, here, I've written down all the numbers already. Feel free. You can go ahead and copy the results. Was I met with any politeness or thank you? No, they were secretly whispering behind my back about whatever it is they were talking about. And I thought, this is what we're talking about. This is what's happening. When the election was over and polling stations were closed, and I watched the procedure to count and review the votes and lock it all up, and I was able to go back to the group that I was working with as a volunteer. And I expressed the fear that I felt, because the hope that had been ignited in me that we were going to start collaboratively, collectively living the principles that I believe in with Unlearn the Crap, that I was seeing in the hope of having Mark Carney as a new voice, a new method, a breaking of the old guard. I saw him as a man who was part of everything that is happening within the world, and he was going to be the bridge to get us to the next stage. He was going to break the patriarchy. He was going to find empowerment for people collectively. And what I found was that our country was divided, that we are almost a 50-50 split. Yes, Mark Carney won. Yes, the Liberals are in power, but only as a minority. The next day, I watched people on videos on YouTube and TikTok talk about, as Americans, Canadians with their sweeping win. And I thought, no, it wasn't a sweeping win. We are divided. We are almost 50-50, liberal to conservatives. We no longer have a mandate. We are not united. We are not facing these troubling times of transition together. And the next day, I saw more hate and more anger and more division. And I couldn't help but reflect back on what happened when President Biden was elected. People got complacent. They sat back and they relaxed. It's over. We've done. But that complacency bred more hatred and more anger, and that got us to where we are today. So how do I bridge the gap of unlearn the crap, my thoughts, my feelings, my methodologies, everything that I believe in with what is happening politically? Well, let's talk about universal laws. The law of correspondence says what is happening within is what's happening without. And so if we look at what is happening without personally to determine where to get to the root cause so that we can heal, if we can do that individually, we can do that collectively and as a society. And when I'm seeing collective fear and people going into survival, and with breakdown of our financial systems, our stock markets, jobs being lost, tariffs being waged, war being run, nobody trusting each other, we are now living and breathing the collective inner trauma that we have had, and it is now coming out into our societies. We are disconnected from ourselves, and that is showing up within our communities. It's showing up in our society, and it is for sure showing up in our politics. Where are you divided and afraid to evolve? Where are you hunkering down, looking for something familiar to hold on to? What traumas are still being suppressed that you're not ready to face and creating disease within you? Because if we don't look within us and heal us individually, we're creating that in our world. We're creating that in our societies. We're feeding it to our next generations, to our children, to our grandchildren. We must heal the collective trauma that has been built up over these years, centuries, generations. All progress is met with pushback. When we are breaking through paradigms, when we're breaking out of our comfort zone, there is pushback. And when fear is at its greatest, that is the moment before the breakthrough. It is always darkest before dawn. I mean, these are trivial sayings, but they're so true, because the amount of fear that comes just before the breakthrough is released once the breakthrough happens. And so we are experiencing that massive pushback, that backlash of trying to hold on, keep us stuck in our comfort zone. Don't go, stay here. But you know that fear does not mean that we are in danger. It means pay attention. It means make a decision. It means you are not on autopilot and you are being called forward. That is what is happening. And you must seize this moment to heal your traumas, our traumas, individually, collectively, culturally. We must do this. What's happening right now is the divide is so great that the right is trying to hold us back from progress, trying to go back to the comfort zone. We can't ever go back. That genie is open. That Pandora's box is here. We are living in exponential change. We have AI, we have robotics, we have automation. We are learning so much about how the body works, how the mind works. The things that we are learning about our empowerment, about our medicine, our health, our wealth, it cannot be unknown, because once we know it, We always know it. And so with evolution comes chaos and resistance, because we live in a world of polarity. We also live in a universal law of masculine and feminine. Chaos is part of the feminine. Control, resistance is part of the masculine. We are living the collective universal laws right now. And the pain that we are experiencing does not mean that we're failing. It means that we are in true transformation. We must not fear the resistance, but we can't give in to it either. We need to say, yes, it's dark, it's scary, it's unknown, but it's right, and it's necessary, and it's part of the process. It's part of the evolution. And while I might be afraid of what's coming because it's not known, I'm going to learn to trust my own inner guidance system. I'm going to connect to the collective. I'm going to be a part of what is coming forward. There is a theory called the extinction burst theory, which is very much in line with, I guess, the Big Bang theory, which is as things are just about to hit extinction, it becomes stronger, more volatile. It becomes a precursor to the explosion that is going to break and create that extinction. That's what this paradigm shift is. That is what we are in the midst of. We cannot hold on to the old to prevent suffering. Suffering is a choice. Evolution is not. It's happening. And so when we learn to lean into it, when we learn to accept, just like childbirth, yeah, it's gonna hurt. We got resources and tools to help make it easier and better, but it's gonna hurt. It's going to change the physical landscape. Yeah, we know that. The world is never going to be the same because there's a new soul entered into our family, into our lives, and into the world. Yes, we know that. It's going to be expensive. There's going to be costs that are incurred. There's going to be damage that happens. But that's what happens when we birth a new life. That's where we are. We're in the birthing process. I saw someone speak the other day. I'd never seen this man speak before. His name is Mike Galsworthy. He is a British scientist. He is the chair of the European movement. He understands behavioral genetics, and he is part of the scientists that are uniting the European Union as a collaboration. He spoke about the change that's happening and the collaboration that's being called forward. He invited Canada to join in the EU movement, where the brain drain that is happening in those areas of fear within the United States. In Canada, we are having an influx of amazing thought leaders, scientists, health practitioners, the people who are a part of the future, who are being stifled in the United States, are coming to Canada. They're going to Europe. And so we are being called to unite and collaborate. His speech talked about the things that we can do as individuals, where we can create exchange student programs between Canada and Europe, where we can have different career expansions and collectives where we can join together in environmental stewardship, in tourism, in culture, in science, where we can bridge this gap. I don't call for the eradication or the extinction of the United States. They're in their birthing process. I believe that what is happening is necessary, as ugly as it is. And we must be the ones that hold space for when they are ready as a collective to join progress, to join the expansion that is happening within humanity. We cannot meet their hate with hate. We must meet it with love. But we give love to each other and hold space for those when they're ready. We are in an energetic movement. This is not a time to isolate. This is not a time to put the covers over our head. We have had so many generations with war. I remember having a conversation at the restaurant with the team that I was volunteering with the day of the election or the evening of the election. And I said, all the generations before my parents knew wars. We haven't. And I feel like this is our wartime. And they all agreed with me. And so what are we going to do about it? What are we going to tell our grandchildren and the next generations of what we contributed to this change? Are we going to be a part of the problem or part of the solution? Because if we are a part of the problem, it's going to be a massive uphill battle when the solution is enacted and we have hit the tipping point of majority and that energy shifts. And those people who've been trying to hold on to what was and trying to hold on for their own survival through greed and fear and manipulation. When that doesn't work, and it can't work, it doesn't work. It goes against everything with Mother Nature, universal laws, history. It doesn't matter. It doesn't work. It is a fear response. It is a trauma response. It is a central nervous system response. It is not proactive. It is not in a informed decision. It is not in empowerment. And so while I'm finding that as I was raised to be the good girl, the quiet girl, the nice girl, don't disrupt the status quo. Don't make people uncomfortable. That part of me I have put to rest because that wasn't authentically me. I'm no longer afraid to disrupt the apple cart. I'm no longer trying to hold my voice down so people will like me. I am now more aligned with who I am authentically. And I am bringing my power and my voice to my purpose. And I am challenging you. No, I'm asking, I'm begging you to do the same for yourself. Come inward, find your love, find your strength, come back to your dreams, attach to your purpose, heal your traumas, release the disempowerment, bring your joy, your passion to the world. We need it now more than ever. If you are feeling fearful, take a look at what the message of your soul is saying. It's saying things are changing. Make a decision. Find your place. We are in a time of urgency. Time is not going to wait for us until we're ready. Our ducks are not going to get in a row and in alignment. We cannot passively wait for somebody else to come and fix this. We are the solution. We are what the world is waiting for. Canada's changing. The world is changing. And so my question to you is, will you shape what's coming? Or are you just going to survive it the best way you can, holding on by your fingernails, holding on by a thread? Or are you going to use this moment to declare who you are, step into your power, bring your voice, find your place in this world, and share it? It's time to unlearn the crap we were taught. It is time to speak the truth. It is time to rebuild something strong on foundation that can never crumble again, like the pyramids. The pyramids are built with a big, strong foundation, and the tip goes up. We have been building our society on an upside down pyramid, and the pyramid is crashing down. It is time for us to do this together, each with our soul, our vision, and our unfiltered fire. My name is Kathy Baldwin, and this has been a segment of Unlearn the Crap and Level Up Your Soul is Calling podcast. This has been my Unfiltered Fire Friday. I look forward to hearing from you and feeling your energy bring to this movement. Thank you for joining me on this episode of The Unlearning Curve. I hope you enjoyed it. If something landed for you today, make sure to follow, like, comment, and share, and check out all the other full interviews and other episodes of Unlearn the Crap and Level Up podcast, where you'll find deeper conversations, expert guests, and real stories from people just like you who are unlearning their crap and choosing clarity. Visit me at kathybaldwin.me and get all my free resources. Check out my coaching programs as well as my books. Until next time, keep showing up, keep unlearning, and keep leveling up, because your soul is calling.